Phoenix was a creature of extraordinary promotion. No other city of our size can say that. Other cities have these natural advantages. We had none.
I used the word one time as bucolic, and that's exact what it was. It was like a large Midwestern city, common, very laid back, wasn't very fancy at all, and it was a place where you could get started.
So I remember arriving in Phoenix. I'd driven across country, and it was August the 8th, 1983, and I was coming over from New Mexico. I'd stopped to visit my folks, and we were coming down Salt River Canyon down into the valley, and I see these heat waves coming off the valley floor, and I was like, oh, I'm so glad I'm only going to be here a year.
We weren't just an accidental city in the desert, but there was so much strategy and planning that had gone into surviving in the desert and creating a thriving city.
It was very much a city that had an establishment core. All of the businesses were local, the banks and all of that, and the leaders were all known, and the newspaper had tremendous influence, which no newspaper has.
There perhaps was not as strong a handle on corruption and crime and other things that can take place in a very quickly growing area. And so business leaders at that time got together and said, well, we should probably do something about that.
It was a city that needed to have help, if I could put it that way. It was growing so fast that it was out of control in a sense. Things were expanding so fast that people didn't know what to do. Walter was the banker with the money, Pulliam had the ink, and Frank Snell was the law. The old story was that those three guys could meet in a telephone booth and set policy.
Bimson, Pulliam, Snell were really the people who ran Phoenix.
Now, what kind of a situation is it where somebody is so presumptuous that he can deputize 40 people that he hand-selected to be running the city?
There were men who were successful, but they weren't speculating on the town at all. They just wanted the town to grow and to watch it. But it was growing so fast around them that they had to find other people that they could trust. And they emerged. They became the Phoenix 40.
Well, I knew there was like this mysterious group that had deep connections into the business community and tried to create kind of a consensus view of how to build Phoenix.
We were looking for a great cause that would bring the private sector together.
Our motivation was to clean up the city's image. We were having a bad image notably because of land fraud.
Organized crime, all the land fraud, was everywhere, and nothing was being done because the political culture, the business community, the civic culture, were all in a kind of culture of impunity.
And that's when Don Bolles was killed, who was just a natural, took on organized crime. And that was our purpose when we formed.
I think Pulliam then had really started to understand that, and was in effect saying, well, I'm not worrying about partisan politics. The fate of this community, what's going on, is a lot more important than a political label. And he simply said, I think you're serious, we're going to support you.
We wanted to get a bill passed to clear up the problem that we had with land fraud.
Bruce was able in his first year as Attorney General to get the statewide grand jury passed by the legislature. It was supported by the business community because they saw what a bad rap Arizona was getting.
We were called out later, and the bill was presented and it passed. Land fraud man. Warren, it was called before him and prosecuted. Statewide jury came in, he was convicted, sentenced to prison, and died in prison. And the land fraud cleared up. Right. There were other people doing it, but they stopped the thing, and it was tough law.
I credit the Phoenix 40 with having given me the legislative reforms and the tools to really get into this and begin to get a handle on it.
The growth was coming in. The first freeway program was emerging. You saw You saw development all over this region.
The downtown of any city is like the heart of a body. If it's vital and energized and growing and healthy, then the rest of the city tended to be healthy and growing.
When we were trying to figure out, should we build a basketball stadium? You know, you're doing all these things in downtown, the art museum, the science museum, you put in big subsidies into it. He said, maybe it's not ever going to work until you can get the middle class back in. And he says, and what basketball does is it brings the middle class back in.
I think it's a vital aspect of the economic structure of a state. I've always supported the stadiums.
Over the 6 years of my governorship, we did so many things together.
The governor's invited every January to come in and present the state budget and conduct Q&A.
We try to build an entrepreneurial ecosystem in the city of Phoenix. Look, we knew that our economy was over-reliant on real estate and growth. I think GPL realized that, and they were big drivers of kind of changing our thought process.
One that's top of mind for our region right now is the Regional Transportation Plan. GPL has been a key partner in bringing the business community to the forefront, in explaining why this is so essential.
I absolutely see GPL as critical partners in everything we're doing to grow, continue to diversify the economy, make sure the economy works for all Arizonans, grow our workforce.
I was very fortunate to have GPL there working with me in my 10 years. It really paid off for me in so many ways, and some of them were kind of odd. Light rail, the bond programs that we won, those initiatives with GPL kind of fleshing them out. They didn't always like exactly the way we wanted to put them together.
You know, SB 1070 became world famous when it passed, but actually at the time it was going through the legislature, there wasn't as much attention on it.
We believe in the rule of law, and not to see that being enforced and the federal government not doing their job was very disappointing. So I was very grateful that we were able to get that bill through and that I was able to sign it.
The fact that the business community wasn't as active as they could have or should have while SB 1070 was going through, I think was an inflection point for GPL and the other major business organizations, that they better pay close attention to what's going on at the legislature.
GPL was not supportive of it, and I was very disappointed that they weren't supportive of it at the time, due to the fact that they are a well-respected organization. You know, in politics, it's kind of interesting. You agree sometimes, you disagree other times, and you work through it. You know, you have to have thick skin, but you fight for what you believe in, and you hope that you're on the winning side.
To me, GPL is important because its members see the big picture.
Sometimes we agreed, sometimes we disagreed, but it's an organization that has consequence to the direction of the state, and they have the best of intentions at all times.
GPL was a good partner, and as importantly as GPL as an organization, their individual members were both to have GPL understand what was going on at the city, but also to individually to support the various initiatives that we were doing at the time.
Well, I think anybody that's in public office or the governor's office is going to look to GPL for some counsel along the way. Of course, there are leaders and influencers in that room.
I love that we're getting attention for a real leadership role. People are coming to visit us from all over the world to celebrate what we're doing here, whether it be advanced transportation or semiconductors.
You know, it's not easy herding politicians. It may be even harder to herd strong business leaders.
What Greater Phoenix leadership did to me was it changed my view of power. They were always willing to help. They were always willing to play a role. They always were active in trying to make certain that this was a better valley.
What animates me about all of this is the Phoenix 40 and valley leadership.
GPL wants elected officials to take steps that are really going to improve the local economy, improve the Arizona economy, and if you adopt public policies and you're willing to put your reputation on the line to move forward with that, GPL is going to be your partner.
We're known for a great collaboration with our educational institutions, business community, and government. We're also known for taking some risks and trying new models of education, new models of technology deployment. So many of the GPL leaders continue to be active even if they've stepped down from their CEO or chairman roles.
You know, GPL really put us on this path to prosperity. The fact that they're not just focused on making sure we have low taxes, yes, that is critical. We have to make sure that we have an environment that encourages continued growth, that we're tackling the challenges, that we're educating our population, that we're connecting them to the opportunities, and they understand all of that, and that's how we're going to continue to be prosperous.
You really don't notice the growth and all the good things that are taking place until you're kind of out of the fray. And all of a sudden one day you wake up and you look and you think, how did that happen? Where did that come from?
We're very lucky to have institutions like GPL that are there and available and are just a wonderful resource for people who serve in public life.
We saw what needed to be done and we did it. It's that simple.
And now we are a city. We're a city that you can be proud of. I'm so proud of this city, so proud of the things that have happened here. We've met those challenges, and we're going to continue meeting those challenges, but we're never going to be perfect, but we can attain perfection the best we can. Well, we're the new city, and we're getting better all the time.